Imagine this. It's been a few weeks since Vice President Kamala Harris stepped into the spotlight as the lead on the Democratic ticket. As the campaign trail heated up, both she and former President Donald Trump went on the offensive, each painting the other as the embodiment of everything extreme and unfit for the presidency.
We spent $100 million fighting crooked Joe Biden, and then all of a sudden they decide to take him out and put somebody else in. She never got one vote. I hear he's going to make a comeback at the Democrat convention. He's going to walk into the room and he's going to say, I want my presidency back. I want another chance to debate Trump. I want another chance.
Trump never one to shy away from controversy through a mix of accusations Harris' way. He questioned her racial identity, mocked her crowd sizes, and labeled her a radical leftist. From immigration to tax policy, climate change to criminal justice, Trump tried to cast Harris in the most extreme light possible, often stretching the truth to make his point.
I have to run it the way I want to run it, he said. And he's doing that. And the way he wants to run it is through, insult politics and coming up with...
On the flip side, Harris didn't hold back either. She highlighted her legal background as a prosecutor and attorney general, setting it against Trump's own legal woes, particularly his conviction for falsifying business records. And like Biden before her, she took aim at Trump's positions on social safety nets, healthcare, and abortion, sometimes skimming over the details of Trump's actual stance.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
So what's true and what's not? Let's dive into some of the talking points that have been flying around. First up, Trump's portrayal of Harris as far left. At a rally in North Carolina, Trump claimed Harris wanted to hike taxes by a whopping 70 to 80%. She wants an 80% tax, he exclaimed. But hold on, Harris never said that. What she did say was that a bold idea like raising taxes on those making over $10 million deserved discussion. That's not the same as calling for an across-the-board tax hike. She's been clear that she supports middle-class tax relief and has backed Biden's pledge not to raise taxes on anyone making $400,000 or less. So no, she's not coming after everyone's paycheck.
I've never seen anything like it. Even my statement on waiters, waitresses, caddies, a lot of great people that drive cars, no tax on tips. All of a sudden, out of the blue, she comes out. That was months ago I said that. And she came out and she said, no tax on tips. She could have at least said, President Trump had some great ideas, but one of the ideas was no tax on tips. I think it would have been nice.
Next, the red meat drama. At a rally in Atlanta, Trump claimed Harris wanted to ban red meat and get rid of all the cows. Yes, you heard that right, no more cows. But here's the truth. Harris has never said she wants to ban red meat. Back in 2019, during a CNN town hall, she talked about encouraging healthier eating habits, acknowledging that while she loves cheeseburgers, we should be more mindful of our eating habits for the sake of our health and the environment. It was more about promoting moderation than eliminating burgers from the menu.
Certain countries have changed their dietary guidelines to reduce the consumption of red meat in light of the impact of the climate change.
Yeah.
If elected, will you be supporting change in dietary guidelines? And then how will you plan on implementing the changes so that people effectively change their diets?
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Carol, for your work on the question. I think of the point that you're raising in a broader context, which is that as a nation, we actually have to have a real priority at the highest level of government around what we eat and in terms of healthy eating, because we have a problem in America. And we can talk about all that we are now, the subject of this conversation. We can talk about the amount of sugar in everything. We could talk about soda. We could go on and on. So the answer is yes. But I'll also say this. The balance that we have to strike here frankly, is about what government can and should do around creating incentives and then banning certain behaviors. I mean, just to be very honest with you, I love cheeseburgers from time to time, right? I mean, I just do. And I think that, but there has to be also what we do in terms of creating incentives that we will eat in a healthy way, that we will encourage moderation, and that we will be educated about the effect of our eating habits on our environment. And we have to do
what
a much...
about ICE and the KKK comparison? Trump claimed that Harris supported abolishing ICE and even compared the agency to the KKK. That's not quite what happened. Harris did suggest that ICE needed serious reform and that its role should be reevaluated. But abolish it entirely? Nope, she didn't say that. The KKK comparison also comes from a Senate hearing where she questioned ICE's tactics and their perceived impact, but she never equated the agency with the Klan. On criminal justice, Trump continued his attacks. In Minnesota, he said Harris wanted to end cash bail nationwide, implying that violent criminals would be set free to roam the streets. But Harris's stance on bail reform is more nuanced. She's advocated for replacing cash bail with risk assessments that consider the likelihood of a defendant fleeing or committing another crime. It's about fairness, not letting dangerous criminals off the hook.
Kamala Harris's deadly destruction of America's borders is completely and totally disqualifying for her to be president. You can have a person like this as president. No person who deliberately releases these kinds of savage criminals to prey on our youth and our people.
Now, Harris isn't innocent of twisting the truth, either. In Arizona, she claimed Trump wanted to cut Social Security and Medicare. While Trump had previously flirted with the idea, during his 2024 campaign, he's been adamant that he won't touch those programs. He even said he wouldn't raise the retirement age by a single day. But the question remains, how does he plan to keep those programs afloat? On healthcare, Harris warned that Trump would scrap the Affordable Care Act and take us back to a time when pre-existing conditions meant no coverage. Trump's stance has been a bit murky, though he has promised to retain protections for pre-existing conditions. However, the specifics of his plan remain unclear. And then there was the controversial remark about punishing women. Harris reminded everyone that back in 2016, Trump said women who have abortions should be punished. While it's true he said that, he quickly walked it back and hasn't endorsed that position since. In fact, he stated that any legal consequences should fall on the providers, not the women. So there you have it, a closer look at the claims and counterclaims that have shaped this political battle. As always, the truth lies somewhere in between, and it's up to us to dig deeper and understand the full picture. And that wraps up our look at the back and forth between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. It's been quite a ride, hasn't it? These campaign trails are always full of twists, turns, and, let's face it, a bit of drama. But through it all, we're here to help you sort fact from fiction. Now, before you go, let me tell you a bit more about the amazing writer behind this article. Linda Q is a dedicated reporter at the New York Times, and she's been fact-checking politicians and public figures for nearly a decade. Her work is all about digging deep, asking tough questions, and making sure you get the real story. Because let's be honest, in politics, the truth can sometimes get a little lost. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay informed with more breakdowns like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. We're all about bringing you the latest news, fact checks, and insights with a friendly, easy to understand approach. And hey, if you have any topics you'd like us to cover next, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.